This officer was stabbed by one of these suspects and suffered serious injuries.
Injured trying to stop a retail robbery. An off-duty police officer steps in during a crime in progress.
Tonight, police flood a Scarborough store. The search for suspects in the case. Good evening. The injured officer will need surgery, but is expected to recover.
The frightening incident happening in broad daylight and in front of shocked shoppers. CTV's Allison Hurst joins us live from outside the Best Buy near McCowan and the 401. What can you tell us, Allison?
Staff inside tell us that the suspects were attempting to steal a TV, and that's when that off-duty officer saw what was going on and intervened. Police swarmed the Best Buy parking lot near McCowan and Brimley Road. Tape surrounds the scene and a trail of blood leads to the street.
It's kind of scary.
Police say it was just outside the store where an off-duty Toronto police officer was stabbed in the wrist while trying to thwart a robbery.
He is in stable condition right now, but he will require surgery at a later time.
Officers say there were 3 suspects. The first is described as a man, 6 feet tall, medium build, wearing black pants and boots. The second is also a man wearing a black mask, blue jeans, and a black hoodie. The third is described as a woman with long dark hair, gray cargo pants, and a camo jacket.
The suspects fled in a gray Toyota Sienna minivan. Were last seen going northbound on Brimley and westbound on the 401.
Police say it happened at about 11:45 in the morning in broad daylight at a time when many people are doing their holiday shopping.
Kind of feels unsafe right now. Canada was like the safest country to be. But like right now it's been going downwards. I don't know why, but people are getting crazy.
What's happening too much? Way too much.
It feels like because of the inflation and all that thing, people are getting frustrated and all that thing is they are doing like this, right?
Police did not confirm whether the suspects successfully took any items. Police are still looking for those suspects, but no doubt they've had a pretty good look at them as there are a number of cameras inside that Best Buy store. Now, there was an HR representative here on scene earlier today. They told us they have no comment. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Back to you in studio.
Thank you, Allison. And still ahead, a smash and grab robbery at Yorkdale Mall. In the thick of holiday shopping season, a trio of thieves target a jewelry store. We examine the troubling trend in just a few minutes. But first, we turn to chaos and confusion at a movie theater in Vaughan.
A couple hundred people were forced to evacuate after an unknown substance was sprayed inside. Just one of several similar incidents in the GTA last night. CTV's Sean Leathong joins us live with all the details. Sean.
Well, Nathan and Michelle, there were 3 incidents that happened in the GTA last night, and police are investigating if all 3 could somehow be related.
You can see from this video posted to Instagram confusion inside a theater in Vaughan. A witness describing people suddenly coughing, having trouble breathing. The theater evacuated.
There were a couple of hundred people watching a movie, and they had begun experiencing adverse effects after being exposed to an unknown aerosol-based irritant that was sprayed in the air inside the theater.
According to York Regional Police, these 2 suspects entered the Cineplex at Highway 7 in Weston in Vaughan around 9:20 last night. Several people were treated for minor respiratory issues, but no major injuries.
And we've discovered that there were 2 very similar incidents that occurred in Brampton and in the city of Toronto.
Earlier, a Cineplex in Brampton on Great Lakes Drive, as confirmed by Peel Police, and later, another at Cineplex at Scarborough Town Centre. Police saying it's too early to say if the 2 are linked.
It's certainly within the realm of possibility that the same 2 suspects could have reached all these locations.
In 2 of the 3 incidents, the movies playing were made in India.
We're very mindful of the fact that there was an Indian population that was present in our incident.
York Police saying there's no indication it was hate motivated, but they have notified the hate crime prevention team. In a statement, a representative from Cineplex said, "We're working closely with local authorities who are leading the investigation and can't share more details at this time. Our primary focus and commitment is the safety and well-being of our guests and our team. We thank our teams for helping guests evacuate safely." The 2 suspects are described as Male, black with light skin tone, 5'10" and a medium build, wearing a black sweater, a black jacket with a white logo on the front right side. The second suspect described as male, brown, light skin tone, 5'8", a medium build, wearing a black sweater with a red logo above and white text on the front.
So police are asking anybody who may have any information to please contact them, and they are saying, and they're reminding the public, they were lucky that there were no major injuries, but it just could have been somebody who had respiratory issues or possibly any anxiety issues around this, and it could have been much worse. Reporting live, I'm Sean Lee Thong. I'll send it back inside.
And still to come tonight, exposing the blind spots in Ontario's drive testing. Ontario's Auditor General releases his latest report. The red flag raised over the Science Centre and healthcare spending.
But first, let's take a live look outside tonight. We were treated to some sunshine today, but the clouds have moved in. These skaters probably not minding it all, though. Looks like a lovely evening. However, there is snow on the way. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Lindsay, what do you see in this hour?
Yeah, we do have potential for snow overnight, Michelle, but this evening it's just going to be chilly. So I encourage you to come inside, maybe bring a new unwrapped toy and help us build a toy mountain. We're here at Bass Pro Shops tonight in the Vaughan area. One of our premium sponsors, we have the kids from Bakersfield Public School. And they're going to start loading their toys into this bin for us. And Rick Hunter is with Bass Pro Shops. You are one of our new premium sponsors this year. How's it going so far?
Yeah, it's going so great. We're so excited about all the toys that people are donating. I want to thank our friends from the Mississauga Bassmasters who are bringing a load of toys today. And while you're here, when you bring your new unwrapped toy, you can scan the QR code and you can enter to win a prize pack worth over $3,000 from Bass Pro Shops.
That's amazing. And you were mentioning to me, Rick, that someone dropped off an entire skid of toys today. That's absolutely amazing. Lots more to come this hour. We have so many donations to get to, but first we're going to talk about your weather. It is chilly out there tonight, so bundle up if you're going to be venturing out and doing some shopping. It's currently -1 in Toronto, but it feels like -6. So once you consider those winds that are coming out of the northwest and the north, yeah, it's a little bit chilly for sure. Look at the satellite and radar. Not much to show you right now, but watch the top of your screen. That's that burst of snow that's going to move through overnight tonight. We could wake up to maybe a couple of fresh centimeters of snow early tomorrow morning. -3 degrees is our forecast low, feeling like -7. Here's the thing, though. We're in for a bit of a warm-up over the next few days, along with some active weather into the weekend. Again, we're here at Bass Pro Shops in Vaughan building a toy mountain. And we'll have lots more to come throughout the hour. For now, Michelle and Nathan, back inside to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks, everyone. Next to a scary scene that unfolded before frightened shoppers at Yorkdale Mall last night.
A brazen smash and grab robbery at a jewelry store and what's become an all-too-familiar crime in the GTA. CTV's John Musselman joins us live with the details. John.
Well, Nathan, as you know, this is an incredibly busy mall in Toronto. Last night there was this robbery and police are looking for 3 suspects. Police say the smash and grab robbery happened just before 9 p.m. inside the Cartier store at Yorkdale Mall. 3 suspects entered the store and stole an undisclosed amount of items. The value is unknown. In a statement to CTV News, officials at Yorkdale Mall say they are working with police on this. Quote, a theft occurred at one of our retailers yesterday evening. No employees or shoppers were injured. Toronto police responded quickly, and Yorkdale has excellent surveillance and is working closely with police on this investigation.
Sorry?
This is the most recent incident in a series of smash and grabs in the GTA. Shoppers we spoke to have a range of theories on why it's happening so often.
The people who do not want to work, they go steal.
I get it. Like, they're desperate. Everything has gone weird because of the pandemic.
Maybe if there was more job opportunities or something like that, a lot of people, the crime rates wouldn't be going up, it'd be going down.
Toronto is becoming more and more crazy every day. And, you know, you really just got to watch your back and, you know, really think about your safety.
Last month, the store in Port Credit was robbed. The owner says he thought he was opening the door to a customer when suddenly 3 other suspects pushed their way inside the store and began ransacking high-end clothing. The store owner locked them inside the front door, but they used an axe to smash their way out of the front window. Also last month, 3 suspects robbed this jewelry store at the Bramalea City Centre Mall. A suspect with a hammer was captured on video smashing display cases. Mall security was able to detain 1 suspect. 2 others got away. Toronto police and Crime Stoppers say these brazen, coordinated robberies are costing Canadian businesses $5 billion a year.
With these type of incidents, as we saw last night in Yorkdale and earlier today with the off-duty officer being stabbed, is these incidents are becoming more violent and, it's organized, right? They're coming in with lists, they're coming in and targeting certain retailers, and in this case, it was a jewelry store, and earlier today, it was just a retailer.
Organized retail crime now impacts nearly 88% of independent store owners. 2 out of every 5 organized retail crimes involve some sort of violence. And no arrest yet in this case. Police are reviewing the security video from inside the store in hopes of identifying the suspects. Reporting live at Yorkdale, I'm John Musselman. Back to you.
Thank you, John. And breaking news to share with you from Durham region tonight, a serious crash in Whitby. The CTV News chopper was over the scene at Thixon Road and Applewood Avenue. Roads are closed in both directions. As emergency crews attend to this scene, police are asking people to avoid the area.
And the SIU is investigating a crash that left 2 pedestrians injured. The multi-vehicle collision happened around 11 last night at Keele and Falstaff, just south of the 401. Toronto police say a vehicle involved failed to remain at the scene. The OPP and the SIU are in charge of the investigation, and there's no word on how the crash happened. At Queen's Park, Ontario's Auditor General released his annual report today, outlining a number of issues.
Among the concerns, the Ford government's plan to move the Science Centre to Ontario Place, driver testing in the province, and the handling of health care. CTV's Queen's Park reporter Siobhan Morris joins us live with the details. Siobhan.
Well, this report's meant to tell us whether or not government is spending your tax dollars wisely. So that is in this report. But we also heard the Auditor General say today that some important voices aren't being heard on some pretty big issues. And that means that decision makers aren't getting the full picture.
In his summary of the year, the acting Auditor General flags what he calls a pattern of not consulting on key decisions. It shows up in an examination of driver testing. In January 2022, the government eliminated some skills from tests to get a G license: parallel parking, 3-point turns, and emergency stops. The idea was to clear a backlog built up over the pandemic.
That backlog was finished by the end of 2022. However, we're still sitting here at the end of 2023 with that reduced requirement still in place.
Drivers from urban centers are flocking to smaller communities for testing, leaving them unprepared for the roads they'll actually drive on. Scarborough drivers who tested outside Toronto had a crash rate of 27% higher than those who tested in the city. There's concern about the low bar drivers over 80 have to clear to prove they're still equipped to drive.
Identify what a clock is and draw that clock to basically get their driving test or driving license.
Nick Theropoulos flags what healthcare providers have been saying for years, that hospitals are stretched thin, ERs closed because they don't have enough staff. They're leaning more and more on expensive nursing agencies to fill gaps.
I think they need a strategy. They don't have a strategy at the moment.
The health minister insists they're working on the problem, but want the College of Nurses to speed up accreditation.
The Ford government is gaslighting Ontarians.
Sylvia Jones wouldn't entertain capping how much private nursing agencies can charge.
We cannot take tools away from our hospital partners to ensure that they have the capacity they need to provide the service in community.
The acting auditor says the plan to move the Science Centre to Ontario Place was based on an incomplete financial picture and one that left out input from key players.
And without consultation, those that are making decisions are not having all the information necessary to make the correct decision.
The report lays bare that the government's deal with spa company Therma means there has to be some 2,000 parking spots nearby.
It will be at Exhibition Place, and we will work with the City of Toronto on. The parking spaces are there for Ontario Place redevelopment.
Small comfort to the opposition.
We know that it was a contractual obligation now of the plan for Ontario Place with ThermaSpa that they would get that $650 million parking garage. So what are we on the hook for now?
When it comes to drive tests, the Transportation Minister is currently reviewing our graduated licensing system. I talked to the Ontario Safety League. They expect some changes by March. At Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
All right, thank you, Siobhan. Toronto police say they've disrupted a sophisticated auto theft ring in the city, which allegedly included Service Ontario employees in its ranks. As part of Project Safari, police say they found a number of Service Ontario employees trafficking in vehicle and driver information. Investigators say suspects would then steal those vehicles and get them re-registered fraudulently for sale or to commit other crimes. Police carried out dozens of search warrants and seized $1.5 million in alleged proceeds of crime, including cash and vehicles. 7 people, including multiple Service Ontario employees, face a combined 73 charges. For a full rundown of the charges laid, the suspects arrested, head to our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca.
There was tearful testimony today from a former Ontario prison guard
Who is speaking at the inquest into the death of prisoner Solomon Fakiri. And we want to warn you, some of the details are disturbing. As CTV's John Woodward reports, the guard called out multiple failures at the correctional center.
The stench of feces, urine, and vomit.
Solomon Fakiri had been alone in his cell, covered in waste and filth for days before Clark Moss approached him. The sergeant at Central East Correctional Center developed a rapport with Fakiri, enough to get him showered and his cell cleaned.
Are we going to be able to get you showered and cleaned up if I get you a gown?
And Moss broke policy to record this video to show to his bosses that Fakiri wasn't a case of an inmate behaving badly. He believed they had a major mental health crisis on their hands. He told the inquest, "At first I was angry. Why the hell is this going on? What do you mean this has been going on for days? How does this go on for days? Like, why is this still happening?" Jail management appeared to ignore warnings from him and other guards. Fakiri was never seen by the jail psychiatrist. His family was turned away when they tried to visit and share details of his history of schizophrenia, and doctors have testified that he should have been in a hospital. Moss went on vacation, and days later, Fakiri was moved with force. Another prisoner told an OPP investigation that once in the new cell, guards let loose.
Yeah, I don't know, the adrenaline, they try to get on his back, he stands up again. When he does that, they're still hitting him in the face. He runs to the back of the cell, smashes his face off the wall, they bring him back down to the ground.
A review found he died after multiple strikes, pepper spray, and being put face down in restraints. When Moss returned, he was shocked to hear of the death. "I'm not saying it inevitably might have happened," Moss testified. "I can't predict the future, but that day I feel things would have been different." "If you were on shift?" Commission counsel asked. "That's correct. I wouldn't be afraid to express my concern to my superiors. If I thought they were wrong, I would have done it my way and suffer the consequences later." Instead, he said he was threatened with discipline for the video and for leaving Fakiri for too long in the shower. He said he's still racked with guilt, emotionally telling the inquest, "After Solomon passed after so many years, I wanted to reach out to the Fakiri family, but I couldn't, just to give my condolences for their loss and to say I'm sorry for your loss, a loss Moss believes should never have happened." John Woodward, CTV News.
We're following developing news out of Las Vegas, where authorities say an apparent mass shooting has been brought under control.
We do have one suspect down. Of course, we have no idea on the motive. There are a number of victims that have been transported to area hospitals.
Police say there were at least 3 victims hurt in the shooting at the University of Nevada, but didn't share any details on their status.
In Montreal, it's been a day of remembrance as people pause to mark 34 years since the École Polytechnique massacre. A group of students at the Montreal school laid flowers at a memorial plaque naming the 14 women killed in the 1989 shooting. The gunman in the tragedy targeted the engineering students for their gender. The Bank of Canada today kept its benchmark rate at 5%, the same level it's been held at since July.
Economists are now trying to guess when interest rates could be brought down. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver has the details.
The central bank has hiked rates 10 times since 2022, but today it's holding steady again.
I think we're probably at the peak. The question is, how quickly do rates go down in 2024? I think it's quite likely that they will go down.
It's a positive sign for consumers struggling under high interest rates. But analysts say even if rates fall, they likely won't hit historic lows again, a potential challenge for some mortgage holders. In 2024, more than $186 billion worth of mortgages are set to renew, with another $315 billion renewing in 2025. And RBC estimates higher interest rates mean payments could rise by more than 30%.
I think the world of the 1.99 and the 2.25 interest rates, I think that's gone. I don't know that we'll ever get back to that point, but I think high threes, low fours is a reasonable rate for mortgages.
Right now, mortgage delinquencies remain well below pre-pandemic levels across Canada, but the number of missed payments for mortgages and other forms of debt are rising, signaling consumer stress. According to Equifax, 1 in 25 Canadians have missed a debt payment, with total consumer debt at the end of the third quarter rising to around $2.4 trillion, up $81 billion from last year.
We're seeing those increases across the board. So we're seeing auto loans actually are now back at levels we saw pre-pandemic for missed payments. Same for unsecured lines of credit.
The Bank of Canada says its rate hikes have helped to cool the economy, but it remains concerned about inflation. And the bank says it's open to raising interest rates again if necessary. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
As the COP28 climate summit continues overseas, the federal government is preparing to outline a new emissions cap on the oil and gas sector. A government source told Reuters it will establish a cap-and-trade system with further details out tomorrow. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau mentioned plans for the policy in his 2021 election campaign. It would give energy producers the option to buy carbon credits to offset their emissions if they exceed certain levels. Analysts say the policy could become the latest point of contention between Ottawa and provinces like Alberta.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says he's prepared to grind parliamentary business to a halt if the government does not make concessions on the federal carbon tax.
We are going to put in thousands of amendments at committee and in the House of Commons, forcing all-night, round-the-clock voting to block your $20 billion of inflationary spending and the rest of your economically destructive plans until you agree to our demand to take the tax off farmers, First Nations, and families.
If the Tories follow through, MPs may have to delay their winter holidays to hold all those additional votes on key legislation. The Prime Minister said Pierre Poilievre was pulling stunts.
Assembly of First Nations chiefs are hoping to move forward after years of top-level turmoil as they elect a new national chief. 6 candidates signed up to lead the organization, 5 from the prairies, 1 from Ontario. They'll be looking to reset the clock after a tumultuous time under former chief Roseanne Archibald. She was ousted last June over complaints about her conduct, which she denies.
Looking to the Middle East now, Israel's army says it's involved in house-to-house battles with Hamas in southern Gaza.
CTV's Judy Trin has the latest from the region, and we want to warn you this story includes graphic and disturbing details.
Israel releases video of its tanks rolling into southern Gaza. Today, the Israel Defense Forces said it found a stockpile of weapons, including anti-tank missiles, in a school. The IDF says 3 of its soldiers have died in battles with Hamas. Israel also says it has eliminated 5 of 11 Hamas leaders and that it's scouring tunnels searching for the remaining 138 hostages.
Our intelligence has been monitoring the situation of our hostages, and I can say with absolute certainty, every minute in Hamas captivity endangers their lives.
To emphasize the brutality of Hamas, Israeli police have released interviews with witnesses of rapes and attacks by militants on October 7th. Their shooting was targeted at sexual organs, says this woman who was at the music festival. They were shooting at breasts and the genitalia of men. Israel has criticized the United Nations for weeks of silence on the sexual violence. Today, the UN expressed deep concern and called on Israel to allow its investigators to probe the evidence.
I have asked the Israeli authorities in the first week of October, or in the second week of October after the 7-8 October events, to deploy a team, my team, to monitor, document, investigate the issues.
Meanwhile, in southern Gaza, more than 2 million Palestinian civilians are running out of places to take refuge. The hospitals that haven't been bombed are near the breaking point, the rooms filled with injured children. In the 60 days since the terror attacks that killed 1,200 people in Israel, more than 16,000 people have died in Gaza, a third of them children, according to the Hamas-run Health Authority. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Back here at home, as the GTA grapples with a housing crisis, Habitat for Humanity is continuing its work to put a roof over people's heads.
CTV's Janice Golding has more on a development setting aside a home for a family in need.
Volunteers were putting the finishing touches on a new Habitat for Humanity home in Brampton, creating affordable housing for a family that otherwise could never dream of home ownership.
I lived paycheck to paycheck like so many people.
Alyssa Keel is a Habitat homeowner. The Toronto social worker with 3 children, one in a wheelchair, talks about the difference it has made to her family, from being able to afford hockey lessons.
He wanted to play for so long, and now I finally have the chance to do that. I get to see him. He's having so much fun.
To going back to school.
I'm getting my PhD. It's something I've wanted to do for so long, but couldn't afford it. And now here I am, so.
If a family's application is accepted, in lieu of a down payment, they're asked to put in time or sweat equity to help build homes for other families like themselves. And once they're offered home ownership, their mortgage payments will never exceed more than 32% of their pay. This particular project at Beauvair Drive near the Mount Pleasant GO station in Brampton is a collaboration between Daniels Corporation, Choice Properties, and Habitat for Humanity.
They've essentially given up a part of their profit in order to sell a home to Habitat for Humanity at the cost we can afford, so we can make that available to a family just like the one that you've met today.
Daniel started working with Habitat 25 years ago and has helped close to 100 families over the years.
The bottom line isn't always what drives the decisions that we make. We want to do the right thing for the communities that we build in.
Habitat for Humanity has certainly changed the lives of the Keel family.
We actually just a couple weekends ago put our Christmas tree up for the second time. So it really is like home.
And with construction on the Mount Pleasant Village community nearing a close, another family will soon get its Christmas wish. Janice Golding, CTV News.
He is one of the most successful musicians to come out of this country.
And tonight, Rush vocalist and bassist Getty Lee isn't on stage, he's walking a red carpet. CTV's Andrea Case joins us live from the Tiff Bell Lightbox with the details. Andrea.
Okay, Nathan and Michelle, I'm a little giddy because Getty Lee is actually here. He has a new show called Getty Lee Asks Are Bass Players Human Too? Getty, are bass players human too?
Well, I like to think so, but I'm setting out to prove whether they are or not.
What is involved in the show?
Well, it's kind of part travel show, part music show, part lifestyle show, because what interested me about my fellow bass folk was finding out how they live, what interests them when they come off the stage. You know, when we see them on stage, we know they're enormous talents, but what are their interests? Are they involved in their communities? Do they have outrageous hobbies like some of my hobbies? And so I just set out to prove that bass players are well-rounded human beings.
Okay. Well, bass players are well-rounded human beings. You're a well-rounded human being. I know you love baseball. There's a lot of talk about a certain player coming to Toronto, Ohani. Are you going to push this at all? Are you going to entertain him? Will you say if you come to town, I will play a concert for you?
I'll do whatever Otani wants me to do if he'll sign with Toronto. Let me put it like that. That would be just an amazing circumstance and a great boon to my favorite team, the Blue Jays. So okay. I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Getty Lee is a very busy man. Not only has this event tonight, he's also going to be at Massey Hall tomorrow in conversation about his book. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Getty Lee, I'm Andrea Case. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you so much. What a treat indeed. And coming up, remembering the man behind some of the most iconic shows in TV history, tackling sensitive subjects with humor, transforming the sitcom, The Life and Legacy of Norman Lear.
An iPad 4, and coming up on Consumer Alert, we all know how expensive groceries have become and that some companies are shrinking their products and keeping prices the same. There have been about 30 cases of shrinkflation just this year, including a well-known staple in many households. I'll have my reports just ahead.
Well, look at these amazing toys brought to us tonight by Denny's Diners and Staff. I'm here with Denny's, Toronto, and Vaughan. Avi, you've been a part of Toy Mountain for 8 years now. Thank you for this.
Thank you. Yeah, we're just so grateful to be part of this amazing event this year. Yeah, we're grateful.
Thank you.
It's a great haul, and people can continue donating to your locations until?
Yeah, up until December 22nd, yeah.
Beautiful. Let's hear it for them. What an amazing donation. And I want to talk to Miniso over here. What have you brought for us tonight?
Hi, we are here from Miniso, and we bought our cute plushies to help you build a toy mountain with these plushies.
Those are definitely going to help us build a toy mountain. So cute and brightening spirits all over the place here. We're going to talk about your weather forecast. We also have some special guests after this break. You're watching CTV News. We'll be right back. And here's a look at what you can watch tonight. Another great programming lineup here on CTV. Over the past 5 years in Canada, your grocery bill has increased about 25%. And not only are you paying more, you might be getting less.
Food shrinkflation has become a major issue as many companies try to hide price increases by making their products smaller. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Nathan and Michelle, shrinkflation has been around for decades, but because grocery prices are so high, more shoppers are noticing when a product is downsized. They're also sharing the information on social media, including one well-known product found in many Canadian households. When it comes to grocery shopping, companies know consumers will notice a price increase immediately, but they're not as likely to observe a slightly smaller package. That's why over the years there have been shrinking sizes of orange juice and cereal, margarine tubs, blocks of cheese, and even shrinking packages of bacon. Sylvain Charlebois says this year, as food prices went up, many more package sizes went down.
We believe that in 2023 there were anywhere between 25 to 30 new cases of shrinkflation.
If you're buying sweets for the holidays, you can expect 100 grams less of After Eights, but the price remains the same. And Kraft Dinner, a staple in many Canadian households, still comes in the same box at the same price, but with 25 grams less KD.
225 grams, okay? Today, I bought this box for the same price.
We're seeing products get smaller, but the price keeps going up.
Edgar Dworsky with ConsumerWorld.org keeps track of prices in the U.S. and says shrinkflation is also rampant there. Whether it's getting fewer tissues in a box or shrinking sports drinks, he says the best way to combat shrinkflation is to pay attention to unit pricing.
Note the number of sheets on a roll of paper products, note the number of grams or liters in other products, and double check you're getting the same thing next time you buy it again.
In some cases, you could get hit with a triple whammy. A product could go up in price, be reduced in size, and then taxed.
Granola bars, 6 bars in a box, not a snack. 5 bars in a box, it's a snack and you pay taxes.
Another issue costing consumers is skimpflation. That's when companies use cheaper ingredients to reformulate products to try and save money. And Dalhousie University will release its annual food price report tomorrow, which monitors food inflation. Charlebois hinted food prices are still expected to rise in 2024, but not as much as they did this year. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, to the forecast. I think this is becoming my favorite part of the show, talking weather and talking Toy Mountain.
I was thinking Lindsay has a lot to talk about because there's snow, but then also we have our Toy Mountain taking shape thanks to an abundance of generosity, Lindsay.
It's true. Unfortunately, we're not going to quite have a mountain of snow outside by the time we're finished with overnight tonight. But by the end of tonight, we might have a mountain of toys, thanks to people like Sandy. Come on in here, Sandy. Tell me about what your company is called.
So my company is called Sandy & Company Fitness and Nutrition Services. So we hosted an event called Elevate, Empower, and Educate. So it was a wellness event that was taken advantages for athletes. So I had Laura Meadows, Erin Flannery, Annette Chen, and Christine Rafanan that helped with the event. So it was very great. We had all of our attendees and presenters donate all these toys on this table that you see here.
Congratulations and thank you for this. Let's hear it for Sandy. That's amazing holding a toy drive like this. Special guest I want to introduce you to tonight. This is Grammy-nominated country singer, songwriter, Stephen Lee Olson. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. This is where I want to be.
What made you want to participate in Toy Mountain this year?
I couldn't say no to this. I'm actually in town promoting a new single called Happy Heavenly, and I got the opportunity, and it just sounded like a lot of fun. Such a great cause. So I was able to go around the mall and get some of my favorite toys, and if you guys haven't donated yet, I encourage all of you to make that donation now and spread the hope.
And that single that you talked about, you and I were discussing how the overwhelming theme of that song is hope, which is, I think, something everyone could use at this time of year.
Yeah, the holidays, you know what? Hope is something that I think everybody can use a lot of, and if something like this spreads that, then I'm all about it.
Okay, well, thank you for what you're doing. Let's hear it for Stephen as well. And thank you for being here too, looking great. I want to get to the weather, and then we have one more group that I'm going to introduce you to and show you what they've been up to the last little while here. We'll begin by letting you know that weather is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train. So yes, we do have a bit of a burst of snow on the way for tonight. There's that system. It's near the upper Great Lakes. It's going to swing through overnight tonight, beginning more so after midnight and then continuing perhaps into your morning commute tomorrow. How much snow? Maybe a couple of slushy centimeters, about 2 in Toronto. Some areas could see closer to 5 though. So here's the timing. That's about 2 a.m. As we're waking up tomorrow, hopefully this is all going to start to taper off. If it doesn't, it is worth mentioning that a lot of this snow is going to melt as the day goes on because temperatures are going to rise. And then Thursday afternoon is dry. Friday's looking quite pleasant as well. So here's your morning start. This is when we are in the worst of it. Then this low is going to move on, as mentioned. Happy Hanukkah to all who are celebrating at sundown tomorrow. Here's a look at your forecast. And as we look ahead to the 7-day, I do want to mention that we're in for a mild weekend. However, we're also in for some rain and possibly some snow by the time we reach Sunday. We are live tonight at Bass Pro Shops in the city of Vaughan. I want to introduce you again to the students from Bakersfield Public School. Did you guys bring all these carts of toys tonight?
We did, actually. You can see through this how strong our community is, and it just shows that, you know, when you get together for an amazing cause, you can really make something amazing.
Thank you and congratulations. Let's hear it for the students tonight and for everybody who is joining us. This mountain is starting to grow, Nathan and Michelle. Pretty exciting. I'm going to send it back inside to you.
Looks great. Thank you. Also tonight, an alternative to diving into the internet rabbit hole after a diagnosis. A new portal for breast cancer patients offering specific information to avoid unnecessary worry.
A recent Angus Reid survey found for 3/4 of Canadians diagnosed with breast cancer, the first move is to turn to the internet.
But that can cause serious problems. So a new portal has been created to help personalize the information for each patient. CTV Health reporter Pauline Chan has more.
When Robin Goldman was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2021, she did what most new patients do.
Google, the World Wide Web. I just wanted to absorb as much information as I possibly could.
And the problem with search engines is, multiple factors that we all know. The information is maybe out of date, a little misleading. And because there's more than 50 different types of breast cancer, unless you know what type and stage you're at, it's hard to discern all of that information that's out there. The treatment path for different types of breast cancer is very different. So for example, if you're stage 0 or stage 1, with what we would call DCIS, which is, it's in situation, it hasn't moved, it hasn't broken out of the walls, you don't need chemotherapy.
So a person reading about the effects of chemo will be wasting their time and possibly creating unwarranted fears. The new portal, Progress Connect, requires the patients to enter their pathology report, plus other relevant details such as age or ethnic background, and it offers patient-specific information.
It's a fairly high-level report, but it certainly will help you walk through your personal journey of breast cancer and what you might expect.
It even specifies what treatments and programs are available in your particular province. Robin says she would definitely have used it when she was diagnosed, and even after successful treatment, she will be using it.
What this will allow is for me to keep up with clinical studies and, treatment options. and just stay really up to date.
Breast Cancer Canada says earlier detection is helping to find more treatable cases, but it's still 1 in 8 women who will suffer from breast cancer in their lives.
What we are seeing is a rise in a younger age with a little bit more of an aggressive type.
So Progress Connect will be an invaluable tool going forward. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Taylor Swift has been named Time Magazine's Person of the Year.
I have this thing where I get older, but just never wiser.
The pop superstar sure had a groundbreaking year with the kickoff of her Eras tour that brought her shows to cities across several continents and movie theaters further afield. Times editor-in-chief says in a divided world, Swift found a way to transcend borders and be a source of light and joy. Swift was also recently named Spotify's most streamed artist of 2023.
He's credited with changing the face of television. Legendary producer Norman Lear has died.
His shows helped transform the sitcom landscape and influence social culture in the process. CTV's Scott Lightfoot reports.
Boy, the way Glenn Miller played.
From All in the Family to Sanford and Son.
Well, we're moving on now.
To Moving On Up with the Jeffersons. Some of the most iconic television shows in history, all born in the mind of Norman Lear.
When we introduced Americans to the Bunkers and the Jeffersons, people weren't used to TV shows dealing with issues like racism and sexism. But we thought humor was a way into people's hearts.
Throughout the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, his iconic television shows tackled a number of sensitive subjects for the times. From racism to abortion, homosexuality to the Vietnam War, Lear introduced audiences to real-world issues that were then considered taboo for television.
She had a thoughtful, intelligent approach to making people laugh. Sitcoms, to that point, hadn't really had the kind of social edge that he brought to it.
He was known as a master of the medium of television, but before he set his sights on the small screen, he was already an Oscar-nominated screenwriter and was involved in a number of movie hits like The Princess Bride, Fried Green Tomatoes, Stand By Me, and Divorce, American Style. Outside of the entertainment industry, Lear continued his push for change, actively involved in political causes, including encouraging others to vote.
When you vote, whether you think that one single vote will matter or not in the big count, it matters because you did something.
Born in 1922, Lear dropped out of college in 1942 to enlist in the Air Force, flying 52 missions as a radio operator and gunner in the Second World War. It was after the war that he turned his attention to Hollywood, leaving a legacy that will last long beyond his years.
I've had as good a time in this business as anybody has ever had in any business ever in the history of humanity.
Norman Lear was 101 years old. Scott Lightfoot, CTV News.
The Stars Tonight is brought to you by Lastman's Bad Boys court-approved liquidation sale.
He's in stable condition right now, but he will require surgery at a later time.
Updating our top stories, an off-duty Toronto police officer is recovering in hospital following a stabbing in Scarborough. The officer was injured attempting to break up a robbery at a Best Buy location. 3 suspects managed to escape the scene.
Well, it's still early in the investigation, but I think the preliminary information that we have right now is that there's at least 2 suspects in these incidents, these 3 incidents.
York Regional Police are on the hunt for at least 2 suspects in connection with an incident at a Vaughan movie theater. Around 200 people were forced to leave a screening last night after an unknown substance was sprayed. Police are investigating possible links to similar incidents in Brampton and Toronto.
We could not conclude on the reasonableness of the cost-benefit analysis, since there was a lot of relevant costs that were not included.
Ontario's interim Auditor General says the Ford government's decision to move the Science Centre to Ontario Place was based on incomplete costing information. It was one of several issues facing the province, outlined in the AG's report today.
On the markets, the Canadian dollar is trading essentially flat at about 73.5 cents U.S. Oil tumbled nearly $3, falling below $70 U.S. a barrel. The TSX declined 101 points to end the day at 20,274.
Tonight, a prestigious honor for a veteran of the Second World War.
I was proud to get it. My family are too.
A diplomat from France hands out an award in Saskatchewan. That story and more later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight, and a special greetings to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010.
The toys, they sure are mounting. Let's check in with Lindsay in Vaughan. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Michelle and Nathan, and you know, it's been a really special night here tonight. The toy count is starting to climb. Aaron Boyle with the Salvation Army. Tell us where we're at as far as our toy tally right now.
We are at 8,700 toys, just a little over 8,700. We are supporting over 60,000 children across the GTHA, so the need is greater than ever.
And we have a couple of big events coming up tomorrow, Legoland in Vaughan, and also CF Sherway Gardens on Friday. Hey, thank you for having us, Rick. We're going to see you on finale night.
Yeah, I can't wait. We're so excited. Thank you.
Here's how you can donate. There's so many different ways. You can visit a drop-off location. You can text to donate. And of course, you can find all that information on our website, toymountain.ca. Here's one more look at the 7-day forecast. Just a heads up that it is going to be mild, but a little messy as we make our way into this weekend. It's been so much fun tonight at Bass Pro Shops. We've been busy building a toy mountain. And we'll do it again tomorrow. Nathan and Michelle, I'll send it back inside to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thanks all. Appreciate it. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zarada Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching and have a great night.